Hey, Dan,
Hey,
uh,
Ron.
let me tell you something. This is a special treat that we have tonight. One of my dearest friends, the guy that wrote my book, The Designated Hebrew, the guy is one of the most fabulous writers that you could ever have. I knew Dan when he went to Syracuse University. I knew Dan for many years. And he's one of the greatest guys you could ever meet. Number one, he's a great writer. Number one. Number two, unfortunately, he's not a Yankee fan. He's an Atlanta Braves fan, but we won't hold that against him. But he knows everything about the Atlanta Braves, and he knows a lot about the Yankees also. But I just wanted to let you know, Dan, it's great to have you on tonight. Unfortunately, it's not the greatest time. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of players this year, a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of friends. This has not been a good going on the second year, and it's not starting off real good. But you know what goes up goes down, and what goes down will go up. And I think this is going to be a better year, hopefully. And I'm glad to have you because you have written a book. You told me that your book came out in '74 about Hammer and Hank. And like we were talking about before we went on live, that Hank was probably one of the nicest human beings you could ever met. Number one, he was such a great athlete. He was such a great ambassador. He was like a Yogi Berra in this game. And you have never heard anything bad about him.
And he
And,
was
you know,
humble
oh,
guy,
most
Ron.
humble man in the whole
Unbelievable.
world. And, you know, and you had many opportunities and you wrote the book about him in '74. But when was the first time that you actually met Hank, Dan?
In 1965, when I was 17, I was a sports editor at my high school paper in New Jersey, and I was a Braves fan. So I got credentials from the New York Mets, and I got to go before a Braves Mets game at Shea Stadium, which doesn't even exist anymore. And I met Bobby Bragan, who was the manager then, and Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews. It was just great.
Well, I know that Hank loved you, and you know, I mean, all the Braves loved you because you know, from Bobby Cox to Pat Corrales you know, to Glavine to Smoltzy and to Maddox, they love you. I mean, you are I'm living in Atlanta, you living up in New Jersey now, and you wear look at all the stuff that you're wearing. You're wearing all Braves, and I knew that you would. And you know, I got my little beanie cap on with the Yankees, and but it's nice to be able to you know, to reminisce and to talk about you know, the great ball player that Hank was on, and what he did for the game of baseball, and you knew his wife probably real well, and you know, I did not know even to this. Now, did he die of old age? Did he have a problem, or did he die of the virus? How did he pass away, Dan?
Well, to my knowledge, he in 2014 he slipped on the ice near his home in Atlanta. There was an ice storm, and he had to have a hip replacement after that. And he's been on a walker since then, and his health hasn't been terrific since then. But he was going to be 87 years old on February 5th. So, you know, that's kind of that age where you can pass away in your sleep too.
Don't say that. You know, it's making me think. You know, I mean, I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want. You know, hey,
Enjoy it while you can, Ron.
let me tell you something. Why do you think I'm doing this? You know, I'm doing this because, you know, at least I'm in the game of baseball. At least we got wonderful fans out there. We got Yankee fans. We got all types of fans. They're not Yankee fans. They're American League fans. They're National League fans. Some of them like the DH. Some of them don't like the DH. But it's giving them something back to what we have, like you and I have an opportunity to give back to the people that took care of us, all the people that read your books, and all the people that supported you, and all the people supported me, And even though I probably don't know like 75% of the people that were on my Facebook, I got to meet new friends, and it's wonderful to meet people. It's wonderful to be part of the game still. Unfortunately, no old timers day and no fantasy camps for us. And I know that you're talking about, you think spring training is going to start probably maybe a month later. And I was reading, I was thinking about they said it was going to start on time. That's what they were talking about. And it's not going to start on time because it's just too much problems out there now. And I just know that we're going to have a baseball season somehow, somewhere. We are going to have a championship like last year. And hopefully we're going to have a real good season. And hopefully the Yankees and the Braves will be, maybe in the World Series against one another. It'll be fun again. It might be another Jimmy Lyric's home run that will cause a lot of confusion for the Atlanta Braves. So,
but I'm hoping when we have another Lou Burdette who beats the Yankees in Game 7.
Yeah, you see, you remember that. I don't remember that. I don't remember the Braves. I remember, when the Braves came to town, and there was, it was a Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews and the Joe Torres and the Tony Cloningers and, people like that, and Paul Richards, who was the GM. And so I remember all those guys, but I never, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I didn't get to play because I wasn't that old at that particular time. I remember them, and they did a lot of great things to the city. Atlanta, you remember when there was only the Atlanta Crackers that we had a minor league team here at that particular time. And then when the Braves came from Milwaukee to Atlanta, and Hank Aaron came to Atlanta, and he became the star. And I had an opportunity to play against him for 2 years when the Braves, when Milwaukee, when he came to the Milwaukee Brewers, and he played for 2 years, and I played against him. And I was a DH, he was a DH. And just watching him swing that bat, it was sweet as sugar to watch him swing. And you get to the ballpark early, he's out there working, he's doing everything that he possibly can by taking extra fly balls in right field, where he was a great right fielder. People don't realize that. And he was a great, he had great speed. He was just a great ball player. I mean, he was the best of the best. And, he was the home run king. We're talking about it whenever anybody talks about who's the home run king, it's Hank Aaron. I don't care what anybody says. These other people is an asterisk. These other people is like, to me, it's like a fantasy thing. And he's the real, from Babe Ruth to Hank Aaron. He's the guy that broke the record. Really, my good friend who he hit the home run against was Al Downing. And Dal, and Al you couldn't find a nicer human being than Al. And Al loved that. And a good friend of mine who caught the ball in left center field was Tom House. And Tom House, but I haven't seen Tom House in a long time. But he was a real good pitcher for the Braves. He was a good relief pitcher.
Dan, I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Dan, you wrote a book about Hank Aaron, didn't you?
Yes.
When was that?
Hammer and Hank, the Hank Aaron story. It came out in 1974, just before he broke the record.
Okay. How was that a whole experience? Can you tell us about it?
It was a lot of fun. And I actually met his bat boy, Kevin Barnes, who is now a regular beat reporter, a broadcast reporter in Atlanta. And he was a bat boy for the Braves. I knew Hank Aaron. He was only 18 at the time. And he gave me some great inside stuff about Hank Aaron. But I just love doing it. There's so much about Hank Aaron that people don't know. For example, he's the only man to be an all-star 25 times. And you're thinking 25 times, he didn't play that long. Well, that's because the major leagues for 4 years played 2 all-star games. And he made the team both times. So he was an all-star a record 25 times. And with Eddie Matthews, Ron mentioned Eddie Matthews a couple of times. Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews hold the record for the most home runs hit as teammates, 863 as teammates. And Ron mentioned Tommy Aaron, his brother, and the Aaron brothers also have the record for home runs by brothers. Tommy had 13 and Hank had 755. So little things about Hank Aaron a lot of people didn't know.
Wow, that's amazing. Quick question. When he hit the home run to surpass Babe Ruth, I know he had a lot of death threats and people really wanted, I mean, what a class act. He still ran the bases. And when having two fans jump into the field, I could only imagine how scared he must have been rounding the bases, seeing these two guys running towards him, but he still continued to do it. So, I mean, that's amazing. You knew him personally. What do you think he felt like?
I agree with you. He must have been terrified because he had a lot of death threats. He had an FBI detail throughout that entire season. He finished the previous season with 713 home runs, so he was one away from tying Babe Ruth. And you might remember there was a controversy at the beginning of the year because the Braves opened in Cincinnati, and the Braves wanted Hank Aaron to break the record at home in Atlanta. So they didn't want to play him in Cincinnati, and there was a big controversy. And Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner, told Eddie Matthews, who was then the manager, you have to play Hank. And they went back and forth, and they finally agreed that the Braves would play him only in one game. And sure enough, during that one game, he hit a home run against Jack Billingham. I believe it was in the first inning, in fact. And that tied the record, but he did break the record at home in the first home game that year.
Wow, that's awesome.
He was a fabulous player, just fabulous. And another thing people didn't realize about Aaron, I mean, Ron mentioned he was a great right fielder. He won 3 Gold Gloves in right field, but beyond that, he was competing against Roberto Clemente most of that time. And he still won 3 Gold Gloves. And he also was versatile enough to play first base, second base, and third base. One year, I think it was 1955, you can check this out, he played 27 games at second base.
Oh, wow.
Dan,
I didn't know that.
Dan, this is Lenny up in the control room.
Hey,
I hope
Lenny.
you can hear me. I never knew this before, but I was listening on the radio this morning that when he was in the minors, he used to hit cross-handed.
That is correct. And I wrote an article about Hank Aaron for Forbes.com because I write all kinds of baseball stuff for them. And I mentioned he was a cross-handed infielder in the minor leagues. And when he came to the majors, he was not cross-handed anymore, but he was still considered an infielder. And he was put in left field only because Bobby Thompson, yes, the same Bobby Thompson, actually he had a triple fracture of his leg sliding during spring training. And Charlie Grimm, the Braves manager, said to Hank Aaron, can you play left field? And Aaron said, well, I'm an infielder, but I'll try. And that's how his career started. He was kind of like, kind of like Lou Gehrig when Wally Pipp got a headache.
Yeah, he had an amazing career and an amazing life. I don't know. I guess I was going to make some kind of statement about, the death threats and things and the way the country was back then. Then I guess I would have to say it hasn't changed that much. I guess we've gotten a little better, but we're not quite there yet. Whatever, I think,
it's kind of interesting if you're bringing politics in. Look what happened in Georgia. They elected 2 Democratic senators, a black man and a Jew. So Georgia is definitely changing.
Yeah, hopefully we are making progress, but sometimes it just seems it's very slow. But okay, enough of my political rant.
Okay.
How did you become so?
But if you talk about Hank, when I first met Hank, I was a young kid, and he was such, an athlete to an athlete. You watch a guy who is so graceful and so smooth. And I tell people the smoothest athlete I have ever played against and watched was Rod Carew. When Rod Carew used to bat, he was so smooth. When he played second base, he was as smooth as silk. Okay. And then we're talking about Robinson Cano. And I told the people when we had the Zoom a few weeks ago that Robinson Cano had the same type of makeup as a Rod Carew because he could hit, He could hit with power. He had a sweet swing. He was very, very smooth at second base. But unfortunately, there was a few things that had stepped in his way so far that Rod Carew has not had. You had somebody like Hank Aaron, who came from, see, I just found out, I knew that he was from Mobile, Alabama. I knew he was, and most people don't realize back in the days, there were so many, wasn't Willie Mays from Mobile also?
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of guys, Willie McCovey too.
There was a lot of
guys from that area.
But Mobile was so big. I mean, it was like, you know, I mean, it was, I mean, they had so many great athletes to come out of Mobile, Alabama. And, you know, when I watched him and when I used to watch him take BP, and I had the opportunity sometimes when I was growing up to go to and watch the Atlanta Braves play. I remember the Braves played when he faced Sandy Koufax. Okay. I don't, to be honest, I don't know. I don't remember what he did against him, but whatever he did against him was, you know, his first swing is like his last swing. It's so perfect. He has such a perfect swing. And they're always talked about, you know, everybody talks about now the launch angle. This guy's hitting a 500-foot home run. I would tell you right now, Hank Aaron never hit 500-foot home runs.
No.
Hank Aaron would hit the 375 to 400 to 410-foot home run. But that was all day long. And, you know, with the ball was not juiced up like it is now. But his wrist, and people don't realize, if you go watch Hank now, there's going to be a lot of movies. I know that, I guarantee you, I don't know, you probably could tell me, did Ken Burns ever do anything on Hank Aaron? Do you know?
No, not especially Hank Aaron, no.
Okay, so there might be a documentary that's going to be about Hank. This, you know, they gotta be. And people, baseball fans, or, you know, just sports fans, just watch his swing. And, you know, here's a guy, you know, like I tell people, and I told you many, many times, even when you wrote my book, okay, you see the ball, you swing and you hit it. Now they make hitting so complicated. Back then, when he started off, and when they couldn't catch the train and stay at the same hotel as most of the people, you know, I mean, just think of the tough times. And myself growing up in the times down south when the KKK was very, very big, okay, and the John Birch Society. And I remember on Peachtree Street, and every street in the downtown Atlanta is Peachtree Street. But I remember when my father had a small jewelry store in Alabama Street, and they used to have the march of the KKKs down Peachtree Street, and they used to give out pamphlets. And, you know, you look, hey, I'm 12, 13, 14 years old, and I'm looking at these things, and these things got, you know, blood on them like a cross and stuff. You know, I mean, I'm looking at it, and my parents would always make me turn away. And, you know, I wanted to see it. And, you know, because people always ask me about that. And I think it made me a better and stronger person to know what they went through, okay, and what the Jews went through. And people don't realize that. When you are a minority, you have a lot of problems. And when Hank Aaron or Rico Cardi or any of those people that played on the Braves, they had a problem, even especially in the minor leagues. And it was very, very difficult. But getting back to Hank, Hank was, you could go up to Hank and talk to him about hitting, and Hank was just like a normal person. And you know, and you know, and you know, you've been with him for more than I have. And I have watched him on TV, and I played against him. And he was just a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal person. And nobody could ever say, anybody could ever say anything bad he ever said about anybody, ever. And when he having all those death threats, he never came off and, made like, they better not do that and this and that and whatever. I mean, he was a man. And even to this date, unfortunately, when he passed away, he had, he used to go to the old Atlanta ballpark, Atlanta Braves ballpark, and, the new ballpark. And he used to walk on that field. And when he used to walk on that field, he was an icon. He was a special person. And you know how, a superstar, when they walk out, they have that awe about them. He had that awe everywhere, everything he did. I remember Phil Necro gave me an award. Probably I could not make it because I was at Yankee fantasy camp about 4 years ago, and Hank was there, and he went up to my wife and my family and my daughter and her boyfriend at that particular time and my son, and just went up there and just said, I remember you, your father Ron, and I remember when he used to come down to the clubhouse, and when he first signed the Yankee contract, and Clete Boyer and all those people took care of him. And, hey, I was still, even though I wasn't a Braves fan, I was a baseball fan, and these people took care of me. And wherever Hank was, it was the best of the best. He was a wonderful, wonderful human being. And Joe, Lindy, do you have any other questions you want to ask Dan?
I read Dan's article today. Fascinating stuff. I've been a baseball fan forever, but I guess I never got down into the real deep facts that Hank was not a pull hitter until they moved to the launching pad, that he used to hit all fields. And then
when he got down there, when he got down to Atlanta and he saw the ballpark, he said, I can hit home runs here. And he was aiming for the fences. He became a pull hitter.
He hit the ball right over the teepee. Nakahoma, right?
That was Nakahoma until it became politically incorrect.
When did they took Nakahoma out? Gosh, what, 15 years ago?
Long time ago. And by the way, he was a real Native American. He was a real Indian.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I remember when he used to hit the home runs. Hank and all those guys used to hit the home runs over the teepee, and they used to do the war dance, and that was great. That was, hey, when you're a young kid and you see stuff like that at the ballpark, it was like being next to Max Papkin, the clown prince of baseball.
Oh yeah.
It was really, really great.
Well, Ron, you mentioned his wrists, but I want to bring up one other thing about the way he hit. He was so relaxed that Yogi Berra once said it looked like he was falling asleep at the plate. But boy, if he saw a pitch he liked, he was wide awake.
Oh, hey, let me tell you something. To be a great hitter like that, a great hitter, and people don't realize, what was his lifetime average?
305.
305. To be a 300 hitter any year, number one, you got to be a great hitter, but you got to be relaxed as anything. And, I was talking about, here's a prime example. I bring them up every week, and I maybe shouldn't do that, but maybe I'm going to give a guy really good luck. Gary Sanchez, who's a catcher with the New York Yankees, okay? And when I first saw Gary had, number one, he could swing. He was a typical Dominican hitter that could hit what they call líneas. Líneas is a line drive, okay? And he used to hit the ball to left center, to right center. And then, unfortunately, he became a pull left-handed hitter almost 95% of the time. And that's when his batting averages went down from like 270, 275 down to 220 to 225. But Hank Aaron, what made him so good, he just didn't hit home runs. He drove in a lot of runs. And, he hit the ball to left center, to right center, to center field. He was what you call a great hitter. A great hitter is a guy, to me, well, every 10 at bat, you get 3 hits. And this guy, just think of this. You said he played how many years? Did he play 25? How many years did he
23.
play? 23 years. To be a 305 hitter for 23 years, to me, just think about that. How incredible is that? And, to hit the home runs, to drive in all the RBIs, to play 9 innings a game. And, how many times did he play 152 games and 162 games? How many games did he actually miss his whole, you probably wouldn't know. How many games did he actually miss in his career?
Well, let's put it this way. He was only on the injured list once, and that was when he was a rookie. He broke his leg in September, sliding, just like when Bobby Thompson broke his leg. That was the only time he was on the disabled list.
Think about that. Nowadays, if you take 10 swings, you're on the disabled list because you pull an oblique on your side.
Yes.
And these guys are out for 3 months. Just think about that. You really have to be a very great baseball man. And you knew about this, since you were a kid, and that's why you're such a good a writer, that, you know how to keep the people so polished, really on the good ball players. And you're talking about Roberto Clemente. Unfortunately, he was taken away way too soon in that plane accident. And I tell you, it was Hank Aaron and Roberto Clemente, the 2 best right fielders I ever seen play right field.
Yeah,
Anybody.
By the way, you mentioned his batting average. That 305 average was better than Willie, Mickey, or the Duke.
To me, that's incredible. It's, does he have any, going back, does he still have any brothers? He had, 8 brothers and sisters?
8 siblings altogether. Yeah, 8 brothers and sisters, yes.
Was he the last one living?
I can't answer that because I really don't know.
Okay. So most of his people are still in Mobile, or no?
No, I don't know if they're there or not. But Tommy Aaron was only 45 when he died. He had leukemia.
Yeah, correct. That was such a, that was heartbroken. That was, you just started thinking about people, unfortunately, passing away. You playing baseball, you're 19, 20 years old, and, somebody's 45 years old passing away. And now, you up in the age a little bit, and all your friends. And, it's so many people that been in the Hall of Fame, and teammates and players that we played against and played with. People don't realize it's such a small fraternity out there. Now, let me ask you a question. Who was his roommates on the road? Do you remember that?
Oh, I'm sure he had a lot of different ones, but I don't know. Toward the end, he had a single room, of course, but before that, I really don't know who his roommates were. I think maybe Wes Covington for a while. I'm really not sure.
Really? Yeah. Back then, we had to have roommates back then, and then the collective bargaining, we got very, very lucky that we had single rooms, and we're very lucky about that. But, Dan, it's, when you wrote my book, and I think we always, when we always did things, we always did book tours, and we took the down to Mississippi, the American Queen down to Mississippi with Art Shamsky, Fritz Peterson. It was you, it was me, and who else was? Who was the relief pitcher that we actually had? What was his name? Tom Hankey. And we had him, and we always talked about the older guys. And remember, Al Clark just had his book to come out, I believe, and you're talking about that. People don't realize, what were you saying, that Hank Aaron was never thrown out of a baseball game, ever?
Never thrown out. unlike Bobby Cox, who's thrown out 158 times. Which is
How many times did he get in arguments? I don't even think he argued, did he?
No, he didn't. I mean, the umpires respected him. They just wouldn't throw him out. And I think he could just let people know with his body language that he objected to a call, but he never said anything. He was a laid back guy.
That was incredible. I mean, that was really, and when I found out that he passed away today, my son called me up. My son was, of course, he's a physician down in Miami, and he called me up. He said, who just passed away? I said, no. He said, Hank Aaron just passed away. I said, no. I said, I never even knew that he was even actually sick. And I didn't know that Phil Negro was actually sick either, or Don Sutton. I didn't know any of those guys. They all lived in Atlanta. Sutton lived in Atlanta also. And, he passed away, I think, in California. I didn't know. I never knew that he actually went back to California.
It's been a tough week for the Braves, Ron.
Oh, I mean, it's been a tough year for a year and a half. And, it's going to get better. And it's, hopefully, and we're going to play baseball, and we're not going to be talking about all these gloom and doom days. And we're going to be talking about good days and stuff. And when you going to actually go down to spring training? Are you going down the whole spring training with the Braves?
I'd like to go, but I'm not going to go in March. It's too soon. I got to get the shots first.
How do you think they're going to be? You think they're going to be good this year?
Braves should be good, but they've got to sign Marcell Ozuna again. He was a great DH last year. He led the National League in home runs and RBIs. They got to sign a right-handed batter to bat behind Freddie Freeman. That's the key.
Do you think they're going to get Ozuna? I thought he was a free agent. He's looking at other teams.
Oh, yeah, he's a free agent. They're also talking about JT Realmuto, which surprised me because they have a good catcher in Travis d'Arnaud, unless one of them is going to be a DH. I mean, they could alternate between catcher and DH.
I wish the Yankees would get that JT guy. And, they need somebody like that. I mean, this pitching staff is getting better. But how about the Braves pitching staff? How about there was just an article in the Atlanta paper about Soroka, I believe?
Yes.
What type of he just had surgery, didn't he, last year, right?
Yes.
After 2 games.
Early on. He should be okay. He'll probably get started a little bit later maybe than the other guys. But they picked up Charlie Morton as a free agent. He's a great big game pitcher. And they also added Drew Smiley from the Giants, a left-hander. So they're going to be fine. And they have Max Fried. Max Fried is a great young pitcher. And I like their starting pitching, but their bullpen, they lost 3 guys to free agency. They've got to worry about that.
Well, I mean, the GM and they're doing a pretty good job down here. They have always done a pretty good job. You know who I really liked? I loved, remember when Ted Turner became the manager down here?
Oh, yeah, for one game. One game.
Yeah. No, Ted Turner was, he was a guy that, I grew up with, or, when, let me see, Bartholomew. He was the top guy, and then Ted Turner came in. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, he came up, and having Ted Turner, I mean, he was a pistol. I mean, he was really, really a pistol. I remember, who contacted me on my Facebook was Marty Perez, Taco.
Oh yeah,
remember Taco? Yeah. Lenny Cosberg. Lenny, I said, Lenny, Taco just contacted me on Facebook. He said, who is Taco? Like that. I said, well, it's Marty Perez. He's Taco. I mean, he was our guy. And people don't realize he was with the Yankees. I don't know for how long. Lenny or Joe, how long was he with us? A half a year?
Blind, I think they got him in April of '77, and then they traded him for Mike Torres. So maybe he was with the Yankees for a month, maybe.
A month. But what a super guy. I mean,
he's almost MVP back for him. So,
I mean, he was really.
Ted Turner. Ted Turner paid the exact same amount for the Braves that George Steinbrenner paid for the Yankees, $10 million.
Did they really?
And it's nothing today.
I mean, just think. You know, I mean, just think when we went through, you know, when you did our book, look at the free agency, what I went through. A whole big thing was, you know, when you're hitting like 300 and, you know, they're coming back at you for $200-300 raise. I mean, that was a big deal back then. That was a major big deal.
You know,
And,
you know what Hank Aaron's peak salary was in his career? $250,000, which is less than half the minimum salary today.
I know it. What did he start at? Probably around 6,000.
Yeah, 5 or 6,000 in '54. That was his first year.
Really? Who was the first manager? Who, when he first came up to the team?
Charlie Grimm. Charlie Grimm was the manager.
How old was he when he first actually came up to
Aaron?
the bigs?
Aaron was 20, I believe.
He was 20 years old.
I think that's correct.
And so he never went back down to the minor leagues ever.
Oh, but the interesting thing is rookie year, he was 4th in the rookie of the year voting. He had 13 home runs only that year. 4th in rookie of the year voting. And who knew that this wiry kid was going to be the future home run king?
Nobody did.
Who hit cross-handed originally.
Now, how did he hit? Who actually taught him how to hit right? Who actually taught him how to hit?
Oh, that was in the minor leagues. And I'm trying to think, there was Ben Garrity was a minor league manager. He always credited with helping him get to the majors. Ben Garrity was a career minor league manager.
Okay. Who was the guy, who was a catcher that had his, we always talked about him down in spring training. What was the guy? Clint Courtney. Remember Clint Courtney?
Oh, yeah, he managed Richmond too.
Yeah, he never had any knuckles, right? He always broke his knuckles. They always talked about him. And they always talked about how mean he was. I tell you who was like, he was our assistant GM when I was with the White Sox, was Paul Richards. He was tough too, you know?
Oh yeah, I remember.
He was really, really tough. I had really, you know, I had from Gabe Paul, from Lee McPhail. It was Lee McPhail, Tal Smith. From Tal Smith, it was what's it? What did I just say? You know, I mean, who was my GM with the Yankees?
Gabe Paul.
Gabe Paul. I forget. Okay, Gabe Paul, and it was Paul Richards. You know, you're talking about some. I mean, those guys. I mean, they're tough as nails. I mean, they'll start taking, like, if you used to ask them for like $50 more, they'll start taking $20. They'll give you $20 less. And, you know, I mean, they're like really tough people. Now, Hank never had an agent, did he?
I thought
up until he probably left to come to Atlanta, and he made his home in Atlanta, and he had his BMW place, and he had his other, you know,
yes.
That's probably so somebody took care of him. I think it was Smoltzy's. Who was Smoltzy's guy? What was the guy's name? Oh gosh, it was his agent down here. I forgot his guy's. Oh gosh,
it wasn't Al Rosen your GM too?
Yeah, but in name only.
Okay.
He really didn't do too much. I mean, he always was with Gabe Paul, but really never did too much. Al Rosen was really, I mean, you know, I didn't know too much about Al till I started looking him up and how great he was. And he was a nice man also. You know, the majority of the guys that we played with or against, they're really great guys. You know, really, really great guys. And,
you mentioned Koufax, but we should mention Drysdale, because Aaron hit more home runs off Drysdale than any other pitcher. He had 17 off Drysdale. And in response to that, Drysdale nicknamed him Bad Henry.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Did he ever try to deck him? Did anybody ever try to hit him?
Yeah, Drysdale was a headhunter, like Bob Gibson too. But I think Drysdale was smarter than to mess around with Hank Aaron.
Did Hank ever hit many home runs off of Gibson?
Don't know exactly what the record was against Gibson or Jenkins or any of the other guys, but I did see him hit a long one off Carlton in Philadelphia. Just incredible. It was in the 10th inning as a pinch hitter. It won a game.
He could hit.
Yeah.
When you used to listen to take batting practice, he could take batting practice as well as anybody. You could hear the, how really you take the great hitters, you take the Ted Williams, you take the Richie Allens, and you take the Mickey Mantles and the Hank Aaron's. Whenever they used to swing and used to take BP, you know that they're in the cage.
You know that in his whole career, Aaron hit only one walk-off grand slam. It was in 1962. The Braves are losing, going to the bottom of the 9th inning. Tommy Aaron came up as a pinch hitter, hit a solo home run. 4 batters later, Hank Aaron hit the game-winning grand slam. Braves got 5 runs and beat the Cardinals.
Really? How many grand slams did he hit?
Offhand, I don't know the answer to that. I think he had 9 walk-off home runs, but only 1 grand slam.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's sad to, it's great to listen to what he achieved, but it's so sad in this day that, one of your friends and one of your compadres and one of your, one of your people passed away, and, one of the best ever. And there's not going to be another Hank Aaron. No.
You want a funny story, Ron, about Hank Aaron?
What?
Remember Harvey Haddock's perfect game that wasn't? May
Sure.
26, 1959. He pitched 12 perfect innings in Milwaukee County Stadium for the Pirates. Lou Burdette gave up 12 hits, but no runs. In the bottom of the 13th inning, Felix Mantilla was safe on an error by Don Hoke. Eddie Matthews bunted him to second. And that brought up Hank Aaron. And no, I'm sorry, Eddie Matthews. Let's see, I got this a little wrong. Eddie Matthews bunted him to second. They walked Hank Aaron intentionally. Then Joe Adcock came up and hit the ball over the fence, which would have been the first hit of the game. And actually was the only hit of the game. However, Aaron ran to second base and seeing the ball go over the wall, got excited and went right to the dugout. And so Adcock, who had his head down in his home run trot, passed Aaron and was immediately called out for passing the runner. So the 3-run homer became a 1-run homer, and the final score was 1-0.
Adcock should have been out also. It was 2 outs, right?
Yeah, Adcock was called out for passing a runner, but the game was over. It didn't matter. The winning run had scored, but it didn't. It counted as a double, not a home run.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Do you have any books coming out now?
Nothing new.
You got to talk about your book for a minute.
Well, the book I did this year was called The New Baseball Bible, Notes, Nuggets, Lists, and Legends from our national pastime. 480 pages, $20. Get it at Amazon.com. There's a big section on Hank Aaron versus Babe Ruth, and I'd like to mention a couple of little facts from that. Their birthdays were 1 day apart. Hank Aaron was February 5th. Babe Ruth was February 6th. Another oddity is they both started and ended their careers in the same city, but with different teams. Babe Ruth started with the Boston Red Sox and ended with the Boston Braves. Hank Aaron started with the Milwaukee Braves and ended with the Milwaukee Brewers. So they both started and ended their careers in the same city. So these guys were intertwined for a long time.
Really? Let me ask you a question now. What do you think about the DH? You think it's going to be in both leagues?
The way Marcell Ozuna hit last year, I sure would like to see it. But I also get a kick out of watching pitchers hit. Remember Tony Cloninger, 2 grand slams in a game?
Yeah, but you're talking about one guy. You're talking about, there's not too many guys. Mel Stottlemyre, Cloninger, I know.
Warren Spahn, 363 wins and 363 hits. He could hit, often used as a pinch hitter.
Okay, but you're talking about the old brand of baseball. Or how about the new brand of baseball where these guys don't even know what a bat is? Yeah, what do you think? Okay, don't say what you, I want to know what you think's going to happen. Tell me.
I think we're going to have the DH, but we might not have it this season because if we were going to have it, they would have decided it by now. They might wait till the new basic agreement, which will be negotiated after the season is over.
Is in December, am I correct?
That's right.
So you don't think they're going to have you think they're going to have how are they going to do this? Are they going to have like the East against the West and all that stuff the same way they did last year?
I don't think so. As I said earlier, I think they're going to just lop off the first month of the schedule and pick up the schedule and play the rest of it from there.
So you don't think there would be a universal DH?
I would like to see it. The irony is both sides want to have it. Why they're waiting so long, I don't know. Spring training starts February 17th, unless they postpone it, which I think they probably will.
Well, they got to. I mean, that's 2.5 weeks away. I mean,
I know.
You don't have anybody at Yankee Stadium now. You have the security guard there. Have you been down to the Bowery? Have you been down to the have you been? Did you like the new ballpark at the in Atlanta?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a great ballpark. It's terrific. I like it very much.
Do you like it better than Yankee Stadium or Citi Field?
Citi Field I like because it looks like an old ballpark, just like the one in Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park. And I like Truist Park too in Atlanta. But Yankee Stadium to me, it looks like it's a stadium. The other ones are ballparks. More homey.
Yeah, the stadium is more like a museum. Am I right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. But it's tradition. You know, Yankee tradition. That's okay. Baseball needs variety.
Well, maybe when I leave this beautiful earth, maybe they have all my equipment there at New Yankee Stadium hung up. You know,
your bats already in the Hall of Fame.
I know the bats are all in the Hall. Yeah, but I got some pictures up at in the suites up at Yankee Stadium. I got some stuff about. You think they'll take my shoes and put it in the suites and stuff and hang it up on the walls? You know, I mean,
they should put your jersey up there. You're famous number 12.
No, there's a lot of people that wore number 12. You know, I just did something with Jim Spencer, and I forgot that Jim Spencer wore number 12. And people don't realize, and you remember Spence, what a great ball player he was. I mean, you know, you covered him with Al Clark's father, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bill Clark, that's right.
Yeah. I remember when I was on the DL, and I used to sit up at the stadium. Well, when I used to go up in the press box, and I used to see him up there. I used to see Clark up there, and I used to see all those guys. And I'm looking at all these guys and seeing, you know, that should be a base hit. That should be a base hit. And they looking and they looking and they looking and they write an E down. I said, that's not an E. That's a base hit. That's a base hit. But it was not fun sitting up there. You know, I wish I was out there playing, and unfortunately, I was injured quite a bit. But you know what? I was with the best fans in the world. I was in the best. Okay, you were in the Braves, and you know, or whatever it is. I wore Yankee pinstripes. I got to play in the old Yankee Stadium. I got to play with Joe DiMaggio. I got to play where, you know, Whitey Ford and Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle and all these guys. And I used to go out and look at the monuments, and I used to watch the rookies run out, you know, when they get to Yankee Stadium, when they get called up in September. The first thing they do, they run out to center field and they look at the monuments. You know, I mean, that's like Mount Rushmore. That's like going to Stone Mountain in Atlanta. It's you
know what fans don't realize, Ron? Those monuments used to be in fair territory.
Oh, sure. You remember when Bobby Mercer?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when he ran? I was playing right field, and he ran behind the monuments in center field. And I said, where in the world did he go? And, you know, I forgot who hit the ball. And, you know, hitting the ball 461 feet straight away center field. Not too many people would do that. And, you know.
I remember when Jimmy Pearsall was hiding behind the monuments, and Bill Rigney was managing the Angels. And he said to one of his coaches, where's my center fielder? And then later Pearsall said, I have 9 kids. Our pitcher was getting killed. I didn't want him to kill me.
But Jimmy was different. But Jimmy was a different type of guy. I mean, he was him and what's his name?
Jay Johnstone.
Who?
Jay Johnstone.
No, no, not Jay. Jay, no, 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 no. Who? It was Ernie. You know, I mean, it was the announcer for the. It was announcer for the White Sox. What's his name? You know, I mean, who has his own
Hawk Harrelson.
No, not Hawk. It wasn't Hawk. You know, it was Carey. Skip.
Oh, Harry Carey, sure.
It was yeah. And he used to go up there, him and Jimmy Pearsall, and they used to kill us. And, you know, because we didn't have such a good team. And they used to make fun of us out there. And they said, how in the world are these clowns going to be able to win a ball game? You know, Kerry would say that, and Harry would say that. And, of course, Jimmy Pearsall doesn't care what he says, you know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And, you know, and sometimes you don't even want him to fly on the airplane with you because you don't have any idea what he's going to say. But, hey, it was good times. I had the greatest time in my life. I had an opportunity to play in the greatest game in the world. I got to play in the greatest city in the world. I got to play in the greatest stage in the world. I got to play with the greatest fans in the world. And to this day, I get to talk to the greatest fans and the greatest baseball people in the world. And talking to people like yourself, hey, Dan, you are the best. You wrote my book. I'm having fun still selling the book. It's selling really good. These people really love your book. I hope some of the people that have read the book, this is my co-author. This is a guy that knew how to put everything together because I had no idea. This is a guy that used to call me up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I got something I got to ask you, you know, and this is a guy that, you know, we did a lot together with this book, and we did a lot of engagements with this book, and we had so much fun. And I don't know if you remember the time we went to Bookends. Were you at Bookends with me?
Oh yeah, I was
Duke Snyder was there, and then Bob Daly was there.
Yeah.
John Daly, the golfer, was there, and Duke Snyder was there. My first with Bookends with Walter Boyer, and we sold like 400 or 500 books. Remember that? And the people came. I said, "You're not going to get all these people around the in this bookstore." But the guy said, "Hey," and they had everybody from Hillary Clinton in there. They had everybody from John F. Kennedy. His book has been in there, and you know, all these guys and with their great books. That was an unbelievable place. And after that, I don't know if you remember in Ridgewood. It was in Ridgewood. We went to Ridgewood, got the ice cream in Ridgewood.
Oh yeah, I remember.
You remember we went to Ridgewood, and then we stopped, you know, I had to stop and get some bagels, and you had to stop and take me to get my bagels, right?
Yeah.
How many times did you go with me? And, you know, we're at the Hall of Fame up in Cooperstown. And, you know, we went to all the restaurants and, you know, with all the players and stuff like that. But you always hung around with all the Hall of Famers. We're the ones on the streets of selling our books. It's like a pencil selling books. But we had so much fun. Let me tell you something.
Hey. And I just want to tell all the viewers one thing. I wish every major league player was as terrific and outgoing and friendly to the media as Ron Blomberg. Couldn't ask for a nicer guy.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate that. I love you. You know, you've done my book. And, you know, I'm writing another book with Dan Epstein. I don't know if you ever met Dan before.
Oh, yeah.
And, oh, you met Dan.
Got a guy named Dan. I'm happy.
You know, but the book is coming out in April. It's called The Captain and Me, On and Off the Field. We got Diana Munson doing the forward of the book. It's going to be a great book. It's like one of your books. I mean, your book is, you know, I mean, your book is so detailed, and, you know, I mean, it's the best of the best. Hey, guys, if you have an opportunity, you need to read Dan's book. Just not my book, Designated Hebrew, but he's written, how many books have you written?
38.
38 books. And his books are just unbelievable. He's up in Cooperstown all the time. He's always giving his, about his book tour up there and talking to all the other writers up there and we were supposed to do something. I don't know if you remember, we were supposed to be doing something. I was supposed to be going up there with you,
Yes.
and then the virus hit, and unfortunately we couldn't do it. But maybe next year we could do it. But
We'll do it.
let me tell you something. Fans, baseball people just love reading baseball books about stats or anything. This guy knows more about things that anybody in the world knows about sports. Number one, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. I've known him for like 60 years already. And he's written so many great books. He's such a baseball fan. And you know, I know that if you get a book from him, you know, send it to him. He'll sign it for you. He loves doing that. He loves talking to people about his books, about baseball. And he's a true baseball man. And he's great for the game. He's great for me. I love you, Dan. Thank you very much for everything. I just want to say, hey, Joe and Lenny, because this was so quick, I appreciate you doing this so quickly, and it's so professionally done. And you know, you got one of the best guys. And about Hank Aaron, this guy knows everything about Hank. And you got to read his books, and I'm going to read more of his books. I didn't read them all. You know, I'm one of these guys, read a chapter, and then I get bored, and I put it down, and I start reading the last chapter, and I can tell people I read the book. But Dan, I love you to death, big guy. You're wonderful. Joe, Lenny, you always do an unbelievable job. And I just want to let you know one more thing. Joe sent me something in the mail today. It got to me, and I had no idea. I was so excited. I thought it was like one of those iPhones. So I still got a flip phone. Okay, this is only, you knew that. And this is the only thing I know how to do. Okay, but I opened it up, and it was something that I had to put on a computer. And I was going to say, Joe, how in the world am I going to try to put someone on the computer? I can't hardly even turn one on. And, you know, and he told me this is very easy. He said, whenever I talk to people, my lighting is no good. I tell people I still got a regular light bulb. I don't have one of those LED bulbs in. I got one of these 60s GE light bulbs, and they burn out real quick. So they don't have the real big LED bulbs in it. So, but anyway, fans, I love you to death. Thanks for coming on. I got a nice story that's coming out about one of the guys that we started the game with in 1972. It's about Sparky. And I wrote a nice piece about Sparky, who started the 72, the surge of the New York Yankees. This is a time when the Yankees started getting a little bit better. And with him, it became real great. And, but anyway, Dan, I love you. Anything you need from me, I'm here for you. Anything you want to talk about, I'm here for you. I know that you're going to be going out, and you lost so much weight and you look good. So you're not eating those New Jersey bagels anymore, right? So you're not going out. Nobody's going out anymore. But pretty soon we'll be going out. We're going to be playing baseball. It's going to be fun. And Joe, Lenny, y'all the best. Dan, you're the best. Tell your family I said hello, big guy.
Dan,
thanks
thank
for
you for
everything
joining us.
done. Dan, I love you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you for taking your time and doing this with us. You know,
Thank you for thinking of me.
Well, you have great stories. You have great books. Thank you so much for sharing. You know, we appreciate that. Unfortunately, you know, it had to be on this sad day. But you know what? His memory is going to live on forever.
I agree. It's like a New Orleans jazz funeral when you celebrate the man's life.
That's right. We need to celebrate all the good things he's done in this life.
Yes.
I got to say one more thing. Heaven is going to have a heck of a good team. Believe me, they're going to have a heck of a good team up there. And, you know, I mean, they can pick whoever they want to. It's no one of these bats and no one of these stick balls where you know, you put your hands over the bats and everything like that to pick a player. You know, hey, whatever guys that they have on each team, they got the best of the best.
They do.
Love you, Dan. Thank you very much. Joe, Lenny, thank you all very much. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you. Love you, big guy.
Thank you.
Love you, big guy. Bye-bye.